To the Real Sheebs podcast. This is a podcast featuring the community, by the community, for the community. And I'm very excited to bring our guest on. This is Williamsburg Pizza. And we're going to have a nice long chat about what it's like to be a pizza company that accepts Doge. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. As always, I've got my faithful co-host here, Slick Rick Slickety. Good to have you always.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I don't
great
know if you
too.
guys want to go by Williamsburg or do you want to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself. My name's Aaron. I'm the owner of Williamsburg Pizza. I'm one of them. And yeah, we've been up and running for about 12 years. We started in Brooklyn and have a couple locations in Brooklyn, a
Absolutely.
couple locations
As
in
always, I've
Manhattan,
got
and
my faithful.
then I was able to bring the concept back to my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska about 9 months ago, which has been very exciting. And yeah, just trying to
Yeah, that's
bring some pizza smiles into the world.
the coolest part about all this is finding out through Opinion Doge about you accepting crypto and then finding out that you're right here in my backyard. And so it's been nice getting to meet you over the last week and a half and about where I can. So
Yeah, that was a super fun coincidence. That made me very happy when I found that out too.
Nice. So,
well, Jimmy,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I just say, yeah, Jimmy, take it away. I know we got limited time, so
Yeah. Well, let's get to know you a little better. I mean, I guess, one of we're obviously a Doge centric podcast, and so we like to ask how people got into the crypto, why they specifically chose Doge, how long they've been in. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey? What drew you to Dogecoin, and why do you accept it in your stores?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of history on how I even came across crypto in the first place was I had a roommate that was a developer in house at a hedge fund, and he was super into it and just got me involved, some years ago, or at least got me interested, I'd say. And but I like different projects for different reasons, but for what I was trying to do at my pizzeria, Doge felt like the perfect fit, It a lot of cryptocurrencies feel more like crypto assets to some extent, and whereas Doge felt like it was really positioning itself from a technological standpoint and from, just uh, the general thesis of the project to actually be a currency. And, the transaction times happen fast enough. I mean, it's got the quickest block time of any of the proof of work currencies that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm not the end all be all expert, but I definitely know it's got shorter block times than obviously Bitcoin. And Litecoin's pretty quick too, but I still think they're like 2 or 2.5 minutes versus the 1 minute block time that Doge has. And so I've always liked the currency. I mean, Doge is fun, and that's just great. One of my favorite things about owning pizzerias is every time I walk up to them, there's always someone walking out of there with a pizza in their hand and a big smile on their face. And I feel like, memes bring smiles too, but also spread real messages. And so I guess I like the general vibe of the project, but also it just, was the only proof of work currency that I was aware of that would actually move quick enough that you could actually, sell somebody a slice of pizza when you really only got their attention for like 1 to 3 minutes. And you need to get people in and out and can't, otherwise it'd start creating like a giant backup if, we're trying to accept some currency that takes 5, 20, 45 minutes for the transactions to clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's kind of my journey and kind of why I landed on this one for the currency to be accepted at the shops.
Cool. So tell us about your locations. Where are you located at? Which ones accept Doge? What kind of
Yeah,
pizzas do you offer? What's so special about your pizza?
I'll I'll do my best. I mean, there's a couple questions in one. I'll unpack it to the best of my ability. I'll tell you about the locations and stuff first, and then I'll tell you about the product.
Yeah, I could.
We started in
Product too.
Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Rick?
I was saying I could always chime in too on the pizza. I've ate a lot of it over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, please do. I mean, please do. I definitely let me know. I'm happy that you're able to get it. I'm happy that I was able to bring it back to the crew in my hometown finally. I'd wanted to do it forever, but it just, you gotta crawl before you walk, and it took a while before I could really try and manage something from afar. But the first one started in Williamsburg and started about 12 years ago. And it seems like about every 2 years we've been able to open a new one because, it was 12 years ago and we're now at six. The second one was in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. That is the one that is fully up and running and accepting Doge the whole time. And it's gotten some traction. Customers are coming in on quite a few, a decent amount every week. Like it's happening, and which is really exciting because the first couple weeks it was a little hit or miss, but I think it just took a little while for word to spread. But then we opened a third location in Crown Heights, again in Brooklyn, and then a fourth one in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. And then the fifth one is in Bushwick, another Brooklyn neighborhood. And then the sixth one is in Omaha. And Omaha is going to be the second one to accept it. We just started the process of training the staff just over the past weekend when I was out there for a couple of days. But it takes about a week, maybe a week to 10 days for everyone who's working the counter to get fully trained. And we want to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing before we completely go live with it. But but the infrastructure is there. And then as far as the pizza goes, I mean, my business partner Nino, he's famous in the pizza industry. I mean, like that Food Network show Chopped had what they claimed were the four best pizza makers in America go head to head, and I mean, he absolutely won. He competes in pizza making competitions in Italy, France, Las Vegas, New York, and oftentimes wins. But that's just a little on his background and on his passion. But what he's really, really, really good at is the dough part of it. And a lot of people don't know this, but like, I don't know if you've ever eaten pizza and you feel like you have a gut bomb like an hour later, and then sometimes you eat pizza and you don't. It's the difference between them just making the dough and using it that day and not really understanding like the processes of long fermentation, how to use like fresh yeast, how to use poolishes, which is like a yeast starter. But I mean, it takes us basically 3 days. It's the initial yeast starters, 24-hour time frame to really get it to do its thing. And then we've got about an 8-hour warm ferment and then a 48-hour cold ferment. And all of that yeast is a living animal. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's like you're just basically, if you don't let it take that much time, you're essentially just feeding people flour and water. And that's, I don't know if you ever tried to eat a spoonful of flour and water. It's not fun. But, but so that's, I'd say, was like the real alchemy of it. And then the other part is we spend money on good ingredients, But that's like, I could tell you what cheese we use and you could go buy it. It's not like, I mean, we spend money on quality cheese like Grande and really high quality fresh mozzarella. And, one thing that we really did different than like 90% of the pizzerias in New York when we launched, and now more people are hip to the game. And when I say 90%, probably more like 98%. But we were really one of the first to deliver the same quality level and the same quality and artisanal curation level of pizza that you would get in only the nicest of the sit-down restaurants, but in like the classic takeout and delivery, like slice shop format. And so, I mean, I'd say that's kind of the summary of what I think makes it special is the fact that I've got a partner who's actually a master baker, besides being a phenomenal pizza maker, and that we actually care about the ingredients that we're using.
That's awesome.
All
So
the
you've
sauce.
got you've got a champion pizza maker. So it's not just
Yeah, if anyone
you're
wants
not
to
just a
check it,
random pop-up shop that's like we accept Doge, please patron us. Like you actually take pride in your pizza.
Yeah, no, we 100% do. I mean, how I met this guy is like, it's a hilarious story in and of itself. I don't know if it's too long for this podcast, but my interaction with him, the very first point of contact was him responding to a job ad, like the day I took over a space and was thinking about opening a pizzeria. And while 10 people literally, I signed a lease for a place and I knew there was no pizza in that neighborhood. And a pretty good deal came my way. And the day after I signed the lease, I just put like like a post on Craigslist that's like pizzeria manager needed. 10 people sent me like, like, okay, resumes. And 10 people sent me just really bizarre emails. And then one guy just sends an email that says, "My name is Nino Caniglio. You can check me out on Google." And I remember thinking, that's a pretty brazen response to a job ad, but I'm not going to not do that. I'm definitely going to check this person out on Google. I mean, it's especially with a name like that. And there were YouTube videos of him of him making pizza that were hit like 500,000 times came up. And 12 years ago, 500,000 hits on YouTube was a bigger deal than it is today. That was like you were really going viral, you know? And there were these all this interesting stuff. And I would just say, if you want to learn a little bit more about our pizza, it's there's a ton of stuff if you just Google Nino Caniglio to learn more about that stuff. Yeah, it's fun to check out. But yes, the short answer is I lucked out and partnered with a absolute master pizza maker. And he makes the magic happen, and I just kind of keep the trains running on time.
Nice. So
Real quick, that's kind of a big name around here. There used to be an Italian restaurant, I believe, with that family name on it. But I know the tomato, the quality tomatoes. You can see the sauce is really quality, and I enjoy it. So
yeah, it's interesting too because that the guy who owns Virtuoso in Benson, he's from that family. He doesn't have the same last name, but it is his family that had that restaurant. And oddly enough, from like the pizza trade shows and stuff, him and Nino have like been buddies for like 10 years. And I mean, obviously, Virtuoso is making some of the best pizza in Omaha by far. And they're part of that family that you were talking about.
it's a tough market too. I mean, you consider, all right, well, you got pizza in New York, right? So that's like probably the toughest market out there, right? And then Omaha is probably up there too, because if you start
a lot
having
of restaurants per capita in Omaha.
it really is, and you start having success, it's really easy to see where the good food is because everybody has multiple locations. So it's really nice that you're expanding here towards my so right now I'm driving, I'll drive it down there all the time. It doesn't bother me now, but I'm gonna start bringing Queen and just having to eat at the restaurant just so we can get it fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah,
So
because you got to drive back with it like a half an hour, and no matter what, unless you were to invest in your own pizza delivery
yeah,
bag, it's not going to be warm by the time you drive it that long.
yeah, but it's
you
all
gotta
been
eat
worth
there.
it getting down. Yeah, but it's been cool, man.
So for those that are watching and listening, we had a mukbang on Real Sheebs. I didn't know what a mukbang was. I'll be honest.
I'll be honest, I don't know what one is either.
Yeah, so I guess it's where people just eat and chat. It's like a social experiment for streaming or on YouTube, and it's basically taking the element of like going out to dinner with friends, talking about the food, and then just having a casual conversation. I'd say like a good example is like Hot Ones. And that's not really a mukbang, but that's explicitly for hot wings, where the guy just interviews people and they just talk over hot wings, and they get all kinds of conversation. And so we were able to, well, by we, Slick and Queen, were able to do that on Real Sheebs. If you check out at real_Sheebs on X, you can check out our old space where we just had conversations. They rated it. Queen doesn't know how to rate, so we'll throw her rating out the window. Slick, do you remember what you rated it? Let's put him on the spot.
Yeah, I think it was like 7-9. I don't think anybody ever.
An 8 something.
I think all the pizza guys I've ever watched rate never rate anything in the 9s. So I was just trying to.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
Like to me, it's the best pizza in Omaha. Like because Frank's is there, Frank's is and then I used to be a huge fan of Paisans just because they have a cream cheese pizza that's really good. For meat lovers, but even that can be a little rich and too much sometimes. So, and then when I went and tried yours, I was like, okay, this is perfect. It's like Frank's sauce, but better, and it's got quality crust like you get at Paisans. And you're talking about the fermentation, like those things I notice. I eat a lot of pizza, so you can tell good crust from not good crust pretty quick. So I just appreciate
100%. Yeah.
and both pepperonis have been good. I tried the parm, the char and parm, and then that's like a kind of like a deep dish kind of feel to it. Um, then the other one was just as good. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. So now I'm even bigger fan. So
Yeah, you mentioned you wanted pepperoni, and I was like, I'll give them a little variety on that.
yeah,
Nice. So let's spend some time to get to know a little bit about what your experience is as a vendor who accepts Dogecoin. That's one thing that we are always very excited to chat about on this show. We've had a couple others, um, Boy Merch, and I guess it's Doge Merch now. I think he changed it, but he sells some products, you know, hats and things that he has NFTs on, and he's able to sell those. Kevo, um, who sells the flags that people see everywhere. You've probably come across them, Aaron, where it's you know just a big flag you can hang from your wall or from a flag post, but there are these
Yeah,
custom
I've totally
flags,
seen
and
them.
what's really cool, what's really cool is the uh, concept of not just accepting it, but whether or not you're holding it, using it for other features or other functions, like if you're buying product with it, keeping it kind of in the loop as a currency. So you know, what's your journey like from just beginning, right? You wanted to accept Dogecoin. What did that look like from saying, okay, I want to where you are today, to where you now have like a POS system? This is probably going to be a long answer, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, maybe you can walk us
Yeah,
through that.
and and then feel free to drill in on any specific things if if there's any one point that I say that you want to hear more about that. But first of all, I guess my journey. First of all, I've wanted to accept crypto for like 5 years. 5 years ago, I didn't know which crypto I wanted to accept. I didn't really know a lot about the different technical capabilities of the different ones. I was still in the very early stages of my journey of learning about it. But I just figured I was like, I want to do this. It'd be fun. First of all, I knew that my PR team could have a field day with it too, which I figured would bring extra business. I also figured that a lot of the business that it would bring would actually be, people that might not have been making their way to my pizzeria in the first place, but maybe wanted to come because they were within the community and supported it. But over the years, as I looked for things that would work, I couldn't really find anything that worked for a professionally ran like small chain of restaurants like I operate. And and for just years, every like 6 months, I just kind of go out and try and find something that worked again. And like everyone's like tells me like 10 things that work, and then I try them and they don't, or just not for me. But finally, just like about a year ago, I was like, I need to just stop whining about this and just like do something about it. And but by that point in time, I had learned about things like the block times of Doge versus Litecoin versus Bitcoin, and I love all three of those projects. I just different ones are made for different things. And it seemed like Doge was the best one to actually run transactions. And I mean, it really is one of the most well-known ones. Like one of my friends who's like super, super, super intelligent, successful guy in the tech business, he said, he's like, Doge is the second most known cryptocurrency. He's like, you think it's Ethereum because you're in the space and you pay attention. He's like, but go ask someone that's not super crypto native. And I remember I asked my fiance's little sister, I was like, hey, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? She was like, yep. I'm like, you ever hear of Ethereum? She was like, nope. I was like, you ever hear of Dogecoin? She was like, yep. So he wasn't wrong that, the memes have like a lot of power of spreading the word in the universe. And
Mm.
it's powerful stuff. Um, so by the time I was gearing up to do it myself, I knew that I wanted to accept Doge because it just seemed like it was the right fit. It seems like the community actually wants it to be a currency and actually wants to use it to spend on things. it seems like obviously it's got the right technical ability to do it. So that was where it was at. And I just, I knew that I had to build something that would work with the rest of my systems in the restaurant. Otherwise, it just throws everything into chaos. And I'm lucky. I have a friend who is, very, very talented software engineer that I've known for many years. And about 2 years ago, I had him start teaching me how to code in Python a little bit, just so, like, I will probably never be good enough that anyone will hire me to do it. And I also don't really have a ton of time with the pizza stuff, but I at least wanted to know enough that I could have a competent conversation with people that do that, because technology is just going to become a bigger and bigger part of all of our lives, both in the workplace and in the home, and it's just never going to stop. So, but all of a sudden, when I pitched him on this idea, he was up for the challenge of trying to figure it out. And so we spent some time building it, refining it, and then obviously I'm in a super lucky position because I've got these pizzerias that I can just try it out in real time. And you've run into the classic. I mean, it was totally Murphy's Law. Like the first 3 times I brought people I was really excited to show it to, like something like a security certificate, like on some server had expired and it didn't work and it was just completely embarrassing. But I'm I can be my own guinea pig on it for that, which is been educational each time one of these things comes up. My partner, the developer, he's quick to fix it, and then it doesn't happen again. So there's just been a lot of that, and now we feel confident that we can roll it out to the other ones, and we're probably going to do it at about a clip of a new store every 2 weeks. And honestly, just because I met you guys and Rick's from my hometown, I decided that number 2 should be the Omaha location. So that will be the next one.
Hey.
And then, yeah, that was completely influenced by my introduction to you folks and us having the same hometown lineage. And then I think I'm gonna just kind of just roll it out randomly. It'll probably be Williamsburg will be the second one because there's a giant, giant, giant Web3 community in Williamsburg. We sponsor a ton of different crypto events for all sorts of different projects. Like we're I don't want to say we're like the official pizza of the New York Web3 community, but I don't see anyone else's pizza at more events than ours. So we try and stay present. But the more people I meet there, it's astounding how many of them, when I'm talking to them, actually live in Williamsburg of all the neighborhoods. So that'll probably be number 3. And then I don't know where number 4 is. It'll probably be Bushwick or Upper East Side or Crown Heights, or I'm not even really sure which one it'll be at that point. I'm not thinking that far ahead. But to answer what you were saying about, are we using it for anything else yet? We have not. I don't know. The truth is, I don't know that they don't, but I don't know that they do. I haven't really approached any of my vendors to see if they wanted to further it, but that's actually a really good suggestion. And even if it's for nothing more than to just kind of spread the word and put the bug in their ear a little bit, I'm going to just ask them all and see. One of them is like a super boutique, high-end Italian specialty food importer that we use, and they're not just this giant monster corporation. Actually, our rep is married to the daughter of the dude that owns it, so it's there's a little more direct communication to the top, and they're a little more open to different things. And but I hadn't really thought in that angle. What I had thought about, and we're not doing it, and I forget the name of the project, but I met someone who was working on something like payroll with Doge. And one of the most fun things that's happened is my staff, as I've been educating them about it, all of them had never had a blockchain wallet before in their lives, and now they all do because they need to be able to receive their tips and stuff at the end of the night. And a lot of them are super pumped about it, and I think some of them would potentially consider even switching to being paid in Doge if we had all the payroll done. I mean, everything we do is super on the books and super to the letter. So we would have to really find one that really worked with all levels of payroll compliance and payroll taxes and all of that jazz. But I'd be open to it,
That's cool.
At the moment,
Were you thinking about starting
and,
with starting small, like maybe with tips?
well, the tips, I mean, what happens, well, it's interesting. So they get their tips like when you go to like close out, you have the option to tip just like if you were, you know, using like a card or whatever, you know? And so they get their tips that are the customers who pay in Doge and tip in Doge, the employees get those tips in Doge. Um, just at the end of the night when we close out, those get shipped directly to their wallets. And but I think what you were suggesting is maybe all of their tips kind of get paid out in Doge. That's an interesting one because that is like a total baby step into it and is like a happy medium between the full thing. And it's pretty interesting actually. It's interesting in a lot of ways because cash is now so gone, like just hard, like people just don't pay with paper money anymore. And for the longest time, the what happens is pizzerias would just track how many tips they were, report them, but still pay out in cash at the end of the night. But it got to the point, but in order to do that, enough cash actually has to come in to the business
Right.
that there's enough paper money left in the register to do it at the end of the night. Otherwise, that system breaks down when there's not. And it just has gotten to that point with all bars and restaurants. And we've been having to put everybody's, like, just push everybody's tips into like a check that's just part of their like weekly check. And people were a little bummed about that. You know, they like being able to like walk out of there with like their like cash money at the end of the night. And what you just said might really solve like an interesting problem and be fun is like do the tip out with that because it won't like because what was happening is we'd be like like there'd either literally just not be enough cash to do it or it would every day you start with like a bank of like a couple $100 in the register to make change. But if you're giving it all away, then it's like you have to run back to the bank to like
Right.
get like the money, and it's like stressful for your manager, and nobody wants to do that. And it was getting that bad and worse. But if we did that, it would solve the problem where we weren't stripping the register of it, but it would make them happy that they were getting paid in real time. That might be pretty genius, Jimmy. I will keep you abreast of how that plays out now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it.
My finder's fee is only 50% of all tips. So it's pretty modest. Um, no, that is really
That's fair.
cool
I'm
though. I
sure the
mean,
guys will love it.
like I said, it's always exciting to talk about things. Dogecoin as a cryptocurrency staying within the ecosystem of being a cryptocurrency. So, or just being a currency, I should say, right? So people being able to buy, people being able to sell, and then what happens thereafter, right? The cash, we'll call it Dogecoin as cash, moves from one pocket to the other, but where does it go from there, right? And I think that's kind of a good segue into another question. So you obviously accept it. You're talking about doing somewhat of payouts or even payroll, but what do you do from that point? Do you just kind of hold on to it? What happens if you accumulate, a whole bunch, and do you feel like you're putting yourself at risk? What does it look like with accepting it, and what do you do with it from there?
It's an interesting question, and it's funny because a little bit of my sales pitch to some of my other friends who have kind of been watching me build this out, and I've got quite a few friends who also own bars and restaurants. We're in the same business. You get to know each other in your own industry over time, and a lot of them. I'm going to just I'm going to directly answer your question in a second, but I'm just going to say something else that's pretty interesting because I've started to like refine my pitch a little bit to them. And I do remember my buddy who he probably owns like 7 or 8 bars and restaurants in New York and in New Jersey. I asked him once, I was like, "Hey, would you ever accept crypto?" He's like, I love crypto. He's like, "But what if I start accepting crypto and then all of a sudden everyone starts paying in crypto and then it goes down 20% one day and then I got to pay my vendor bill with it and like I go bankrupt?" And I was like, I guess that's a reasonable fear. But then when you go and do it, the truth is like 3 to 5% of your business is going to come. It's not like you start accepting Dogecoin and like all of your customers just instantly have like a self-custodial wallet and know how to like purchase pizza with Dogecoin. It's only like 3%. So it's going to be so the amount of business that's coming from it isn't dangerous enough to like be stressful at the moment. Who knows? 1, 2, 3 years from now, as adoption grows, I might have to come up with a different answer to that question. But right now, it's really is just in the 3 to 5% of the business. And we haven't hit the 5% mark, but I could see it growing in the near future to that as more word spreads. But also the other thing is I really believe 90% of that 3% that's coming are sales that I wasn't going to have anyways. I've definitely talked to some of the people on X who've come, and they're like driving from like, like completely different neighborhoods where there's like 20 pizzerias between me and them, and I mean, once they come and try it, then they're coming back for the quality too, of course, but joking around, but I feel like 90% of the sales are sales I wouldn't have had anyways, because there are other enthusiasts and supporters in the community making like a little bit of an extra trek to do it. So you're getting bonus sales if you do it, and it's like such a small amount of sales at a percentage of your total sales still, compared to credit card and fiat money and the dominant, the legacy payment things are still huge, and that's not going to go away overnight, that it doesn't endanger it. Now, me, I'm a believer in Doge, so I'm gonna hold it, or just start to use it. Like we said, if like a vendor ever does it, or start to ease into like the payroll thing. But 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 if like some other business owner didn't like have that same conviction but wanted to be part of the process, I mean, at the end of each night, you could just send it over to your like Coinbase wallet or do whatever with it and just convert it on whatever, centralized exchange of your choice. And if you're doing it on a daily basis, you're not really gonna have that much risk. And if that day the sales, if somehow in that 8 hours of that shift, something does drop that much, again, it's like 3% of your sales, and it's not gonna destroy anybody's life or business.
So if
That's
you
kind of
were,
like that's kind of, hold on, Jimmy. I was gonna say that's kind of what I was talking about, is like holding like it's such a small portion of your business. And so I go in and I buy a pizza. So let's just say yesterday, right? I go in 25% discount for using crypto. Crypto's pumping right now. So or at least Doge is. So now not only that, but I'm using less Doge. So right there, I'm crushing inflation. But for you, it's a different perspective, right? Because not everybody's doing it the way you're doing it, trying to hold it and just use it if you need it. Maybe get past a year just to avoid capital gains and then maybe expand or what have you. But it's just a completely different position than maybe somebody else is that has to, keep every bit of profit margin that they need, that they have. And that would mean triggering it to sell the fiat right away.
Yeah,
So I
I
think it's
mean,
really weathering the storm, but you're doing it right. And it's kind of all the things we've always kind of envisioned. What's this like from your perspective? And so we're really happy to have you here talking about it.
well, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, right now is a great time to buy pizza with Doge. Doge is very strong against the slice at the moment. But all I would say to that is, yes, you would have to use less Doge today to get the same amount of pizza for sure. But I mean, I've been selling pizza with Doge for like 8 weeks now, and I mean, all of those transactions look like a pretty solid, are looking good today. I mean, obviously today's magical. Whatever's going on in the market is it's a fun day to be having this call with you guys. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, different people have different risk tolerances, I really, and I'm not trying to like dodge the question because I think I'll answer it, but I am just going to just double back a little bit. It's like, it's only 3% of my sales, and I'm pretty sure it's like 3% that just weren't even going to happen in the first place. So I'm getting bonus
Mhm.
sales from it. And so personally, I'm just not stressed about it. But it's like designed in such a way that like, the whoever the vendor is, me, whoever, if anybody else ever wants to use, this thing that I'm building, and when it gets to that point, them, they can definitely, they can completely sell it if they want to. I mean, I specifically built this system for restaurant owners and myself that are crypto enthusiasts. I'm not trying to market this to the guy that doesn't know anything about crypto, or the girl that doesn't know anything about crypto and doesn't want to. And just like one of some of the other things that say that they allow you to accept crypto, like I truly wanted to accept crypto at my pizzerias. Like there's some other projects that like help retailers accept crypto, but they don't really accept crypto. They're either like a middle person, which is like half the, not even half, that's like the whole ethos of blockchain, is getting rid of like this like trusted middleman that everyone has to deal with on all their financial transactions. So half of these projects are becoming that, which I didn't want that. And then a lot of those ones and some of the other ones are marketing themselves as you don't even have to worry about the currency risk. You get paid in fiat. And at that point, are you really accepting crypto? I don't know. You're letting people
Yep.
pay in crypto, but you're not accepting crypto. And so there will be people that don't want to take that risk because what you bring up, Rick, is very real, but look, and will I be singing a different tune if like all of a sudden in the next 2 years there's some crazy mass wave of huge adoption and all of a sudden 50% of my sales are coming from like a super volatile currency? Sure, I will probably have to act more like a miner or something at that point and sell stuff as I'm making it to pay for overhead in real time. But in the current stage, and what I see definitely being like at least the next year, it's such a small amount. And it's sales that I really believe I wasn't going to get anyways. They're coming from people in the community that are coming to support what we're up to. That it doesn't stress me out specifically, but I would totally understand it for other restaurateurs that weren't as big of believers in crypto were or if it came to the point where like a much bigger chunk of like my sales were really coming from it. Did
So
that answer your
No,
question, or did I just kind of dance around it? I can't really tell. You feel free to, if I didn't do it, make me elaborate, but I think I did.
I would say that I think you did answer the question. Um, I'm glad that Slick asked it because from almost like an advice perspective, it kind of sounds like, um, hey, if you're a vendor, and you, or when I say vendor, I mean if you operate your own business and you want to be able to accept crypto, uh, the first learned lesson is it's not easy to just go out into the market and grab whatever's out there. Like you got to build your own, and we're going to talk more about that. But the other piece is for you, at least for your business, which is an arguably successful pizza business, it wasn't a huge risk to be able to grab that. Um, and to be able to just kind of give it a shot. It's 3% of what your overall sales are. That's money you wouldn't have had in the first place. So it's fairly low risk. And to be able to just kind of hold on to it, the benefits outweigh the risks. And we'll kind of
absolutely.
cross the bridges as you get there.
Yeah, you summed up where my head's at like perfectly. That was really well articulated. I don't know why that took me 10 minutes to say, but
No.
but yes.
You're like leading the Oregon Trail, man. You know that, right? That's the way I feel.
Yeah, I,
Like
I
there's
appreciate
really,
hearing that. I appreciate
there
hearing that.
really
I've
isn't.
not really thought of it like that. I just knew I wanted to do it and decided to
You
go
already
for
said
it.
you already said something that's so legendary that'll never I'll never forget today. And just sometimes you just got to pull yourself up and you got to do it. Quit whining and do it yourself. Like eventually, somebody has to come to terms with like I got to do this myself. Like I can't wait on everybody else. Otherwise, you're waiting on everybody else to fulfill your dreams, and that might not ever happen. You just kind of got to get up there and do it. And I don't know, man. I love hearing more about your story. Carry on.
I appreciate that, Rick. Thank you.
So, yeah, let's hear more about the actual POS tool that you've built. Is this something that obviously you built it yourself? Anything that I would build, I would be somewhat possessive of. But do you plan on distributing that? You're obviously going to distribute it within your own stores. You're talking to other people that are in the Web3 world in New York. Is that something that you want to productize at any point or enable other people to use?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's still like I wouldn't feel like good about myself just pawning it off on like a stranger at this point because it's still to some extent in like beta, I would say, or some version of later stage beta. I'm getting closer and closer every day to working the kinks out. Um, and I've definitely, it's like I said, quite a few of my other friends who own bars and restaurants that are, either blockchain enthusiasts or a little crypto curious at the very least, have definitely been paying attention to what's been going on. And as it's been gaining traction, there's been more interest. Um, but if like anyone reached out who had like a business and, was okay with understanding that the reality is it's, you're an early adopter and you're working with something that I'm still working the kinks out of, I would be happy to uh, let them use it. And I do think so. I do think it would, I think as it develops, getting into the hands of any other businesses that are interested, who are in the same position as I am. Because there's really two types of retailers out there that might do this. There's the ones that I mentioned that are like my friends that are crypto curious and like are, I can kind of give them that. Don't worry about it. It's only 3%. It's 3% of your sales that are a bonus. So you're actually getting a bonus like that. But then there's like a whole bunch of people like me that just like have wanted to do it, but just none of like the systems that are out there that I could find. And so if they could exist. I mean, I don't know everything that's on the market, but I was like looking and but it's definitely geared up for like, like a professionally ran retail operation, whether that be a store or a restaurant. Um, Obviously there's a lot of great resources out there already for accepting crypto, accepting Dogecoin specifically online. And but if there's like IRL businesses that need it, I'd be happy to talk to anyone. I would just have to give them the little disclaimer that I'm still in the early stages, and all of a sudden you could find out it went down for some reason and have to call me, and I'd have to try and fix it, and whatever else. So I'm not aggressively pushing that at the moment, but as we get all the kinks ironed out, sure. I mean, I'd love for millions of retailers to accept Doge. I mean, I think that's kind of that's one of the pieces for it to really become the currency that we all envision and are hoping for.
It's rad.
It's kind of easy. I know we were talking about interchange and stuff like that before we jumped in, and just pizza by the slice. I've been trying to get you to do pizza by the slice here, but crypto is kind of the easy way to take those smaller transactions and take a less of a hit from the bank and the card brands. So um,
Well,
yeah, it's
we have decided that just a little update on the Omaha store. One of the things that I did the last days was we really tested out the slices there. And we are going to start doing slices at least from 11 till 3 for a lunch special to see if there is enough demand for it. Because you're not the only person that's actually requested that. A couple of people pop in a day every day and ask if they can get a slice. And uh, I just didn't do slices in the beginning because almost no other pizzeria in the Midwest where I grew up does. It's really just like, in our neck of the woods, it's like Zio's, it's like Frank's. Maybe there's another one. Oh, I guess like Lighthouse, but like the other 99% of them don't. So I just assumed there wasn't like enough foot traffic for it because yeah, you can start to like have a bunch of waste if you're making whole pies and only selling 3 slices, and you're having to toss the other 5 slices that they don't sell. But I do think that will happen. But going back to your interchange, I mean, what you were telling me was like fairly educational. I didn't quite even realize how gnarly some of those fees are. I know that the credit card processing companies, I believe, make those like reports like incredibly challenging to read. You almost need someone who's like expert at it, like the way you said you've taught some business owners about that stuff. All I know is it's like a giant gross amount of money that I pay to credit card processing on a monthly, daily, annual basis. And I mean, Doge is like so much better of a deal. Like it's wild. I
yeah.
mean,
No, it's interesting because like you said that there's kind of a target audience for the Doge Express, and I think that it's important for everybody to understand is like a solution like this isn't for everybody. And I used to go through and highlight people's their credit card processor statements and show them like, all right, here's what's controllable by the banks, here's what's controllable um, from the card brands, and then here's everything in green that you can control, right? Your monthly fees that you're paying, your transaction fees, your your rate above wholesale or rate above interchange. I can just highlight in all those areas and then being like, well, here, what if I can put you in this gateway for your website and provide a hookup for this POS solution, and this is how much money I can save you, and then show them over time. And that's what I used to do, is just break down people's interchange and show them, hey, this is how you're getting taken advantage of. And some people were okay; they were taken care of. So you just kind of let them go and give them a little bit of education, and then they end up calling you in 2 years when the company ends up jacking their rates up, right? So that's the other thing you have to pay attention to over time is slowly increase that, and you got to be on top of it every year.
Right, and that's one of the beauties of blockchain and just like public networks, like almost protocol networks, I guess you would say, versus like corporate networks, is they can give real strong commitments because code is law. At the end of the day, it's like when you've got like a company that can just slowly jack them up over time like that, they're going to do it. It's in their interest, and if they don't, they're going to like lose to their competitors that do it and become more profitable. Whereas blockchain is not governed by like some company. It's programmed the way it's programmed, and it's going to do what it does, and that's just how it works. And if that's the conversion rate, that's the conversion rate, or not the conversion rate. I said the wrong thing, but I mean
Mhm.
the gas fee, or the network fee. Um,
It's fascinating. So that's where my background is, and that's kind of why I fell into Doge, because I was like, oh God, this is the perfect solution, right? Because of all the things you outlined at the beginning of the show, right? So that's why we're all here. So yeah,
Yeah,
ever need
it's a
help.
good one. I'm reading this book right now called Read, Write, Own, which, it's obviously like Web 1 was like the read only internet, Web 2 was like the read write, where besides just reading static documents, you could actually start to self-publish like on, social media and like YouTube, and like actual just normal users that weren't hardcore developers could start to self-publish stuff. But then the Web 3 movement where you can actually have digital ownership, it's a big part of it is what we were just talking is what you're talking about. I mean, with something like a protocol network like Doge, you just understand the fees, and you don't have some organization that can just start like jacking them up on you and doing like weird things behind the scenes that you got to like really be paying attention for.
So, speaking of owning, uh, Little Bird Slick told me that you offer like perks via NFTs.
Yeah, it's true. I was like on the fence of what I was going to do. I just wanted to do something that would like be that I could use at my own pizzerias that was blockchain based. And originally I was thinking about doing an NFT based loyalty program. And then I just started looking around to see if there were any, and there were basically none at first. But then I found one like right as they had just raised their capital and were moving. They were very, very early on. I believe I was their first New York restaurant. It's a company called Hang. It's like hang.xyz. And I would recommend it to anyone. But they have a blockchain based, like NFT based loyalty program. And, uh, and essentially, your membership card is a dynamic NFT. With us, there's 5 tiers. You start as a dough ball, you become a cheese slice, then you become a margarita slice, then you become, there's a different little cute tiers, but each time you get like a certain amount of points, your NFT changes, and that's super fun. But they've built a great system. I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, these guys are so far ahead of anything I was even thinking of, let alone doing, that I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna not try and do that project. I'm gonna just use them. And we launched about 10 weeks ago with that. It was pretty close to the same launch time. And I mean, we've already got like something like 1,200 people signed up, and they built this thing that's like super gamified. Every time you go in, you get a mystery box, and you can you can choose to spend it. You can choose to open it right then and there. Maybe you get a cookie, maybe you get a garlic knot, or you can choose to hold on to it and level it up, and it can level up to 8 times. And I mean, as you get to each next level, your chances of winning like the garlic knot or the cookie start to become slimmer, and your chances of winning like the $10 gift card or even the $50 gift card. Or one guy has already won the free pizza party, which is one of like the top tier ones, where it's like a VIP slice tasting. party in store for you and 10 of your friends where you get to just learn about all the different slices we have, and we treat you to some pizza and some wine and beer. And but I mean that means the guy has like at least been coming once a week, every week. And our average customer used to come like once every like 60 days or something, or once like a month. So this loyalty program and like how gamified they've made it, um, is doing, I mean, it's definitely creating way more engagement. I mean, we're losing a little bit on margin because we're giving away lots of fun little things, but I mean, their average spend is like super significant, and their repeat business is going wild. And the funny thing is, it's like the way that this was designed, it's one of the situations where, and I think you're gonna see more of this in the near future, where there's just certain things that blockchain tech is better for than some of the legacy tech. And as far as interoperability between different retailers wanting to do collaborations, like the NFT, actually, the fact that like there's actually this digitally owned like NFT that follows the customer from, that just really lives with them. It will allow me to do collaborations with some of the other companies like Boba Guys and Chacha Matcha that have also started working with the same loyalty program. And I mean, the way like Delta and Starbucks had to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to get their two loyalty programs to talk to each other so they could do cross collabs. And they still won't talk to anybody else. It's just those two. It's like, as more and more people use Hang, our ability to do cross collabs with the different ones is far greater. And it's one of these situations where if you really like study the app and figure out what's going on, you can find out that like you've got an NFT. But when you sign up, like I'd say like probably like 85% of the people that are using the loyalty program don't even understand that they're interacting with the Polygon blockchain while they're using it, because it was designed so it's like more in the background and was used just because it was better for future interoperability and cross collaborations with the different retailers than it was as like a speculative NFT, you know?
Yeah, it reminds me of
Sounds like
those high school students that come by and they're like, "Hey, you want to buy this?" Like it used to be like a coupon book, but now you can like get a card and you show the card to the different retailers and you get different discounts or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really good analogy.
What were you gonna say, Slick?
you know what's funny. I was gonna say it's funny because 99% of NFT projects, most of them don't really have any utility, right? So provided utility, but what you've done with it, what you've done with it also um, reminds me a lot of like what I always kind of envisioned like Ethereum tokens being, right? As like an enterprise token loyalty system. Like that's what I thought that was always designed for, not for just a bunch of, uh, ERC tokens, right? That are being used whether they're for scams or whether they have much utility. So, right, because gas fees, right? It doesn't make sense for me to go into a pizza place and use, let's say, Shiba Inu token, because not only do I have to pay whatever tax consequences I have, but I also got to pay that gas fee. So it's like a
Yeah,
double negative.
the gas fee would crush you. Yeah, it will
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's just really cool to see somebody actually doing all these things, right? And actually providing utility and gamifying it, like you said. I was sitting there thinking like Pokemon the whole time, because you're sitting there like, oh wait, I can evolve it to like the next Pokemon, and so it's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun and it's being well received.
So you offer a discount for anybody paying in Doge. Um, is that something that you ever intend to maybe gamify or like create any kind of loyalty program around, or do you just like the fact that if someone's spinning in Doge, you're throwing a little bit back at them because you just like the coin and it's sterile and you like the taste?
Yeah, I mean, you're still buying the pizza from us, so you can, I mean, there are people who have the loyalty program and are paying in Doge, and they're like double winning, because they're getting a discount, they're still earning points on the loyalty program and mystery boxes. I don't plan on building any like second loyalty program out that's specific to the Doge the Doge thing, you know. I just threw that number out, and I don't know that I'll do it forever or won't. I'm not really sure on that. I can't really tell how many people are doing it for the discount versus just doing it to do it because they want to actually use cryptocurrency as a currency.
Right.
But I just did it in the beginning because I thought it'd be a fun little way to just try and motivate people to try it because I just wanted to get some adoption. But I haven't really, you know, it's like I said, it all works with all of the existing systems. So it's like you can absolutely have our loyalty program and pay in Doge, and you're earning both the reward points and you're getting the discount because you're paying in Doge.
I know a couple people from there in South Dakota that Nick and Kanda that want to come down, and now that they hear all this, I'm sure they'll be on the next trip down when they get a chance. They were going to come down the other day and meet me down there and pay in Doge with me, and but the weather and stuff the
Yeah.
last couple of days been bad, so they'll be down
Yeah, and
here now.
one thing I do want to mention for them if they're listening or anyone else, it isn't probably gonna be till like 7 to 10 days from now. Probably really call it like not this coming Monday, but the following Monday that we'll be fully live on it because we're still in the process of training the staff. And that location has a decent amount of part-time employees too, so it's more people work the counter there, and also all of the delivery people are cross trained to operate the counter there, whereas in New York, each store really only has 3 people that are running the counter, whereas out there, there's more than 10 different people on the team that are they're possibly taking your order depending on, you know, if they're waiting for a delivery and just happen to be there to help the counter person out. So it's going to take us a little while longer to roll it out over there. So it's probably going to be about another, like I said, 7 to 10 days. But it will be fully live, and we will post about it on X when it goes permanently live.
It was really smooth, and then I used the My Doge wallet, right, and picked up. Transaction took about a minute, you know, and I know you and I have been talking quite a bit about just the transaction time or anything, questions, just that you have of what you've experienced over just let's say the last week or month and
Yeah, I mean,
transaction.
I mentioned it to you. I don't know really what's going on. I did notice there was like a drop in hash, I think from like 1,200 million terahash to like 700,000 terahash. I'm not techie enough to really know what that means, but it looked like it took like a pretty serious like dive in the last couple weeks. And we definitely noticed it was taking the transactions were happening very quick. And then it was like, then it was longer, then it was longer, then it was longer. But my technical partner did do something to figure it out, and he said it's back. But at the height of it, at the worst, it was getting up to like it was taking like a couple of minutes. And in the beginning, these transactions were happening like in like 2 seconds, you know. And I haven't tested it out today, but I woke up to a message from him saying that he had figured it out. So I don't quite know what it is. I wish I could speak to it a little bit more, but it definitely it seemed like for some reason or another uh it definitely like the transactions clearing times definitely seem to like correspond with like the hash rate going down a bit, and I have no idea what's causing that, you know. I mean, I've seen different theories kicked around, but I don't know enough to weigh in on any of that.
I don't either. I'm an idiot, but today's update your node day, so reminder to everybody.
Oh,
Yep.
is
Got
that
one more.
today's update your node day? I didn't even know that was a thing. Thank you.
It's not a thing, but it is now.
Okay. Okay. I was like,
No, there's
maybe
a new
I need to
update.
call my friend.
There's a new update that fixes some mempool issues, and there's some new translations that are getting released with it, and um, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what he did, you know, because I definitely know it had something to do with like the node that he was doing something with that. And so maybe he did that. Maybe that's what got it back on track.
Brad.
Like I said, yeah, like that. Pat, his bridge dev. You know, there's quite a few people out there. Chromatic X, good people for your dev to maybe even connect So
Yeah, you sent me a list of a couple names, and I'm definitely going to reach out after this show. Might take me a couple days to really be able to get it together because ETH Denver, which I'm in Denver right now for ETH Denver, and it's a wild scene. I mean, there's like 30 events going on at any given time. Like I'm staying with a friend who owns an event space that like has stuff going on at it from like 8 in the morning till 11 at night every single day from now until Sunday. And it started like 3 days ago. And it's just like one of like a ton of venues that have these like three, like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Pizza DAO, but it's an Ethereum based DAO. But they literally just throw giant pizza parties at every blockchain conference on the planet, and then on Bitcoin Pizza Day, they raise a bunch of money every year selling rare pizza NFTs, and then they go out and use the money to throw pizza parties on the Bitcoin Pizza Day, which is May 22nd, the day that first guy Laszlo bought anything with Bitcoin, and it was pizza. And this year they threw pizza parties on that day in 116 countries or 116 cities, and I believe it was like over 90 different countries. And they're throwing this giant party tonight here, but like I said, I'm definitely going to reach out to those devs you mentioned because it's great meeting other people who really know their stuff in it. And my buddy's just he's a very strong engineer, but he is relatively new to the blockchain space. Like this is probably his first blockchain project that he's worked on, but he's been a quick study of it, and but meeting some other people who are really in the community, like the ones you recommended, will be huge. So I'm absolutely gonna reach out and see if I can establish contact once I get back to New York and back to my normal life on Monday.
Awesome. So like I know I'm sure your mind's spinning. I want to be conscious of time as well. Aaron, how you holding up?
I'm holding up. I don't have like forever, like a ton of time. I mean, just really because of what's going on. I mean, I'm happy we're doing this, but doing it in the middle of like a giant conference with all sorts of things going on is, whatever. We're doing it, and I'm so happy. But I mean, we can definitely chat for a bit more, but I'm not trying to cut it short. But I'm, I'm
you
like I'd say in
mentioned
the middle somewhere.
Yeah. Politely, I gotta go.
um,
I'll go ahead.
I mean, you mentioned holding crypto events. Are you holding any at your stores like coming up here in the near future, anything like that for all the New York people out there to swing
Yeah,
in?
so I mean, we threw a pre like launch event with the Dogecoin, accepting Dogecoin, and then we threw a launch event with it, and then we connected. We partnered with this organization called Dot Connector, and we threw a giant. I mean, the Dot Connector like Web3 events are huge. I mean, the guy who runs that, Jason, like throws these monster like 500 person like IRL like Web3 networking events, and and the only reason me and him haven't done one together, we did one for the loyalty program, but we had to do it offsite because obviously my pizzerias can't fit 500 people. They're small, just little takeout and delivery operations. So obviously, if you get Dot Connector involved, you would just turn like the street into a block party in front of my pizzerias, which probably wouldn't go over so well with the neighbors. Um, but but me and him have been trying to figure out a way to do it and still let people know about it because we thought it'd be fun. But one thing that I have been thinking about doing, and another person from the community who actually has come by the pizzeria and purchased the pizza with Doge, and we've been on communication on X a little bit. He suggested doing like meetups, and oddly enough, I'd actually started a meetup account, a page for specifically like a Dogecoin meetup, and it just never really pulled the trigger on it. But a lot of those meetups don't pull in like the kind of numbers that like Dot Connector does. They really sometimes it's like 6, 8, 20 people, and my pizzerias can totally house that many people. And I've been kind of thinking of trying to host some meetups that, or maybe just try and get a mix of people in the restaurant community and the Doge community, and have them be like half meetup, half almost half workshop too. Like if any restaurateurs were there, like I could like show them the system and show them how easy it is to operate, and share my experiences to like let them know it's not as scary as they might think, because a lot of it's just fear of the unknown. So I do think I am going to take the gentleman's suggestion and maybe do a meetup in the not so distant future, and I will absolutely keep you guys in the loop on that. And I also like the idea of maybe the next time I'm in Omaha trying to organize one there too, because there is actually a pretty, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you've heard it, Rick, but a lot of people don't know about it. But it goes by the nickname Silicon Prairie, because there's quite a bit of
Yep.
tech that actually comes out of Omaha, and quite a bit of blockchain actually. I mean, the number one NFT infrastructure company on planet Earth, like the number one penny company, Pinata, is like an Omaha-based company, and the gentlemen that own that are friends and are super cool. And if those gentlemen and me and Rick put our heads together and got some friends together, it'd be fun to have a little meetup over at the pizzeria in Omaha the next time I'm in town too.
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that for sure. Or and then you got the College World Series, man, having a huge event. It'd be a good place to get people down here just to have fun, catch some baseball, some nice weather, some good food, be able to go see your store. I mean, it'd be kind of a cool deal, man. I'd be down to help get that
I
going on.
would.
I mean,
I think we should totally do that. I'm pretty committed to making it. I mean, I make it to Omaha for the College World Series almost all the time, even when I didn't have the pizzeria there. But now that I'm going every couple months anyways, I'm absolutely going to forever after be timing it to catch that.
yeah, my kid's into Doge too, so I can always bring my kid down there too, and he can make him help out and hand out and sell slices for you.
That's awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
let's make that happen.
yeah for sure.
Brad. Look at this. Making moves.
I
Slick's
like it,
definitely not
right?
gonna say no to that. Um
Yeah,
well, tell you what, let me do you mind if I just ask you some questions from the community? We got some from chat.
Yeah,
Actually,
for
I think
sure. I,
there's only a couple in the chat. First of all, Tesla Model
yeah, for sure.
Doge says, "What up, Aaron?"
Hey,
Wondering
what
if that's
up?
who you're
What up? What
talking
up?
about. um, and you said someone came to your store. I know he did.
Yeah, it wasn't. Me and him have talked about it, and I think he's with it, and I think we're gonna work on it together. But he wasn't the one who originally put the bug in my ear.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not dropping names because I don't know who likes to be mentioned or not in the universe.
Just
You
assume
know?
nobody wants to be mentioned by name.
Yeah.
Gary Littlemore says, "Come to the UK. You got any plans for expanding outside of the US?"
I mean, I was just in the UK for a friend's birthday just a couple months ago, and I had the time of my life. So, I would love to connect with him, and if, it's a good fit for what he's up to, then absolutely. Or if he's just saying bring some pizza to the UK, I would love to do that. And I kind of was looking at London because it's actually built a lot like New York and has a lot of the same foot traffic and like that, where it looks like
Yeah.
the kind of like the slice and takeout places could work. And so I got to say, it's not happening in the near future, but I was looking at it and it seemed like it would make sense. And, if I hear from some people who live there that they think the pizza would work there, that would definitely encourage me to think about it a little harder. Because it is actually quite easy to get from New York to London. Like every single airline has flights every like hour back and
Yeah.
forth between the two cities. Like it's twice as much money for me to get to Omaha as it is to the UK, even though it's the
Jeez.
exact
Yep.
same size flight. But it's just I think the sheer volume of people that are just zipping back and forth between NYC and London just really drives the price down on the tickets.
Yeah. I bet.
it seems like these airlines want to charge everybody a extra surcharge, so their pilot just because their pilots hate coming to Omaha. Like,
Yeah, it was so
like
funny. It was so funny. My PR person, Laura, she was who was not my PR person, but she was helping with some PR for the launch. She was coming to Omaha to like help us get some content and everything. And it was like it was the College World Series was happening. B, just flights to Omaha. There's not a lot of them, so if you missed that one for the day, you're definitely like probably aren't getting on another one that day. And she's like, I'm at the airport and they're announcing like a $700 credit for someone to get off the plane because they overbooked it and no one's moving. And then
Oh
10
yeah.
minutes later, she's like, they just upped it to 1,000 and no one's moving. And then like 20 minutes later, she's like, they just upped it to $1,500. She's like, and no one is budging. I'm like, yeah, it's because they don't want to miss the game. It's like that's what's happening right now. But
Yep.
she's like, if it gets to 2,000, I might have to be a bad friend and take the thing. But it didn't quite get that extreme.
I'd
But
do it for
it was
$500.
pretty funny.
Be the first one up. Yeah. So one question from you might have come across him. He used to go by Doge Marine, but now he's Fulton Doge. He was Opinion Doge like last week. Who's your
Okay.
favorite Dogecoiner?
Oh man, I can't like even begin to pick one. I like a ton, you know. And I don't. I'm just really starting to follow it, so I just have to. I have to.
It's
I
okay.
don't know.
It's
I just
okay.
can't
You don't
name one.
look. You
Yeah.
don't have to answer the question. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But I
I'm
do
reading between the
Opinion Doge. I
lines.
think
Opinion
Opinion
Doge. It's
Doge
not
was
you. It's me.
no. I gotta say, Opinion Doge was amazing because he was really the first one that brought me into the X community, and like I just happened to be on a Spaces, just kind of like listening in, and he was talking about me, and I all of a sudden I was like, I'd never spoken on a space before. And he, by talking about me while I was there, I was like, I got to just raise my hand and thank him for doing it. So, I mean, he was an absolute star and helped out tremendously.
I've been
So
thinking of
maybe it is Opinion Doge. I mean, I thought you were just talking about like content creators. I read the question
you're right.
differently, but
No, it's
You're right. Fulton or Opinion Doge, I saw him. He was offering to pay for whoever's pizza. Hey, somebody go down there and try to see if this is
yeah,
true. And
totally.
it was hard. I think Whisperer maybe went down there, and then Fulton. He said something to me, and I was like, "Let me look at your Twitter handle, your page." And so I look, and they're like, "Holy shit, he's in Omaha." I'm like, "Shit!" I called your store, and the guy that helped me that did the test transaction yesterday, he was the guy I talked to on the phone. He was like, "Hey, are you the guy that called me?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And uh, yeah,
That's
if it
awesome.
wasn't for Opinion, none of this would have happened. I've been thanking him pretty much every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, no,
So,
100%, 100%.
yeah.
awesome. So, yeah, why don't we wrap it up? I know you got to go. I wouldn't mind if, well, would you mind if you had any like closing thoughts, from your perspective for anybody else who might be in your shoes, who would be considering integrating Doge as part of their business day to day? If you had like a paragraph zinger for them, what would it be?
Yeah, all I would say is I think you should do it. Make the leap. The Doge community is very supportive. You will absolutely get sales that you were not going to get anyways. You'll meet a lot of interesting and great people along the way. Um, and it won't in these early phases of this be such a significant portion of your business that it'll be anything that can like jeopardize the survival of your business. If taking a little currency risk on 3% of your total sales is too much to risk, then I totally understand. But for the most part, that shouldn't have a negative impact. And it really is a little bit of currency risk on 3% of your sales that you probably weren't going to get anyways. So I've been having a great time. It's like I said, we tested it out at one store. We're rolling it out to the second, and we're going to roll it out to the rest. And I think some of my other friends who are in the industry are going to start to try it too. And I think everyone should do it because the sooner we make that happen, the sooner this thing becomes a real currency. I mean, it is already a real currency, but the utility will grow, is what I mean by that.
I shared it with some of the radio buddies that I have here that for the ESPN 1620 that you guys are doing that. They in my group chat with them, and then what else I was gonna say.
Yeah, and if anybody knows anyone that like is a business that's thinking about doing it, I am open to talking to anybody. And it's like I said, I've got to give a little disclaimer that we're still working some bugs out of it, but we're getting better every day, and I'm happy to let them use the system.
Awesome. That's perfect, man. I think this is a good stopping point. Appreciate you coming on. To our viewers, we unfortunately, Slick and I both just have had pretty chaotic months. So we haven't been able to really sort out a meme of the week. We normally like to give some away. Maybe we'll do that on a separate thread. We love to give away Doge on the show, but time and busyness kind of got away from us. So hopefully everybody
Here, I can
understands.
settle it really quick.
Huh?
I can settle it really quick. Whoever's listening, whoever does a meme with the new puppet, with Aaron's puppet, Williamsburg Pizza puppet, will take the Doge and send it to you, or we can use it to pay for the next person in Omaha's or the transaction or something. We can like keep a pizza chain going for people to,
Yeah, pay it
you
forward
know what I'm saying?
pizza.
Pay it forward pizza. Yep.
I love it. And
I
you'll get a
love it. I love
special
it.
Real Sheeb's pizza box that Aaron's gonna make.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's a little trickier to get that, but I might be able to pull that off in small quantities. But I love the idea.
Do you mind if we put a pizza box, like an animated one for like our table and stuff? Just kind
Oh
of
yeah,
shout you guys out.
you see the
Oh, yeah.
broadcast. We got this wine. This is from Kevo's wife's business. She sells good wine, and
Yeah.
so we keep it on the show. We'll put a box on. We'd be happy to market
Oh, I
you
would
for the
love to. I
rest
would love
of
to.
our
I would love to
shows.
have some pizza at the show. That would be
Yeah.
phenomenal.
All
I
right.
would be absolutely honored.
We'll throw your pizza box
Cool.
on for every episode from now on. Maybe this whole
I
desk
love
will
it.
just get super
I love
cluttered.
it. I mean, I've been loving this beer that you guys got me, and I'm gonna have to try the wine next time.
It's
Yeah, we'll go enjoy some in Denver.
yeah.
Will do. Will do. Thank you guys so much, Rick, Jimmy. This has
Yeah.
been great chatting with both you gentlemen. It's great getting to know you guys, and thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Likewise.
Anytime,
Thanks
man.
for
Hit
coming
me
on.
up.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you have time, go visit Williamsburg Pizza, and they love to accept your Doge in the locations. They're rolling them out as they go. Go pay them a visit. Be a patron. Support the cause. Thanks everyone for
Hit me
watching.
up if you're in
Thanks, everyone.